Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Review. Today we actually have a beer book report. And not just any book, the new Goose Island Anheuser-Busch book, Barrel Aged Stout and Selling Out. Subtitled Goose Island Anheuser-Busch and How Craft Beer Became Big Business. Josh Noel, who has written a lot about Goose Island from Chicago. He's an author in Chicago. And just finished the book today, actually. Got it as soon as I could from Amazon, pounded through it. Short version, if you like craft beer, buy this book, read this book. This book is amazing. And there's so much that I'm not going to talk about because I really want people to read this book. So I'm not going to tell you all the things I thought were cool, I'll tell you some of them. But I will do what I think is a proper book report about it. So first things first, my background is in history. I have no idea how many books about history I've read at this point. But one of the big things we always had to look for was it well sourced and cited? Was it thorough? All that kind of stuff. This dude, super thorough. Tons of interviews, citing on the back of the book, other articles written, books written, a newspaper, magazine article, all that kind of stuff, plus extensive interviews, most of which are listed. There were some that people wanted to stay anonymous, but the ones who were cool with it, he listed. And yeah, very extensive. So it definitely seems like it was super well researched. He is a great author, super easy to read. It's not like juvenile, but it is very easy to read, good flow. Each chapter is titled something that appears in the chapter, like a quote or something, which was cool. Basically, the first portion of it is Goose Island building up, and the second half is them when they sold to Anheuser-Busch and what that looked like. And I mean, it was fascinating how Goose Island was, and you know what, pretty unbiased. I thought for a moment, I'm like, maybe he's like trying to build up Goose Island just to like tear them apart the second half. But you always kind of understand like why and without vilifying them, but at the same time pointing out like bad practices from AB and Bev, all that kind of stuff as well. So like I never like hated either companies, but I understood and definitely understood the bad stuff, but also like why they both from both points of view why they sold and why they bought. But anyway, fascinating how Goose Island was founded, and the father, his eye for business, marketing, branding, all that kind of stuff, and the son just being like, I have these ideas for beer. It was such a cool, and some of it seems obvious. Like for example, like they have like our entry level craft beer, our not I don't say like low level, but our easily accessible stuff. Our Honkers Ale, 312 Urban Wheat, this was something I thought was interesting in the book. They had the beer. They're trying to name it. They wanted something local to Chicago, hence 312. And a consulting firm that they had hired was like, don't use the word urban. White people might think you're targeting black people. That's not good for your brand. And they're like, nah, we're still going to use the word urban. Because, yeah, got to read. You don't want black people drinking craft beer. Um, that's obviously a joke. I don't agree with that. So obviously go forward with that. But anyway, so that's like this tier, right? And then they're like, well, what if we do another tier up? Your Bourbon counties, which arguably could be even higher of a tier, Sophie, Matilda, all that stuff. And then super exclusive, being compared more to like a nice champagne or really nice bottle of wine, whatever, would be like your sister's beers, right? And just like, if you get people to buy here, it's one of the stories. I know it's kind of something I'm rambling probably. I love this book so much. Again, I'm really trying not to tell you everything I thought was cool about it. But like there was the one story where they a place that was selling, I believe it was tea, and they had like an $8 tea, and people were like, "This is crazy. No one's paying $8 for tea." So then they rebranded it. They had a $4 tea, $8 tea, 15, and then like 100 and something dollar cup of tea, like something crazy. And all of a sudden, people were buying that second tier, right? They didn't seem like they were like not poor, but like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna get the lowest class, but I can afford that second class, that second tier. And you do see that kind of stuff with craft beer, certainly. I'm not gonna name other breweries that do the same kind of thing, but yeah, really cool. So like, it made me really respect, at least before the purchase, right? Um, what Goose Island was doing as a brewery, that eye for marketing, that eye for business, but also the creativity. I mean, popularizing bourbon barrel aged stouts, right? We can argue that they didn't invent the idea, but they definitely popularized it. Helped popularize dry hopping, which obviously is all the rage, especially double dry hopping, obviously. Bringing in Brett to the American palate, like Orval was doing it, obviously, or I pronounce it Orval, um, in Belgium, but it wasn't a big thing in America. It's like three huge things right now in craft beer they help pioneer, at least in the American market. It's like you gotta, at least before, again, respect, right? Then when they sell, that's an interesting conversation, good, bad, indifferent. It was interesting to hear like well, shouldn't it matter what's in the glass? 'Cause I hear people say it all the time. And I've already released a video about why I drink Bourbon County. I did that last year around Black Friday. If I think about it, I'll put that at the end of this video. So I'm not going to get into that kind of stuff. But like, you definitely do understand some of these practices, AB and Bev does that at the very least seem a little sketchy and sometimes downright bad. Um, so that was good. The author there, Josh, he doesn't pull any punches. I mean, it was everyone was who they were. At least it came across that way: the good, the bad, and the ugly. So again, super, 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 super recommend this book. If you read this book, comment or the comment section below. I'd love to discuss this. I don't know anyone else who's read this book, so it'd be really cool to pick some other people's brains about what they thought about. Let me make sure I get it right. Barrel aged stout and selling out. Highly recommend. No hype for beer, no hype for books. This is a great book. If you like craft beer, get this book, read this book, talk to me about this book. All right, guys. Cheers.